the lug bolts out. Use a 17mm socket. When you go to take the last one out, you can hold the wheel on to prevent it from falling. And grab the wheel and slide it off. We're going to take this nut off, but it's peened over right there and right there. So take a punch or a chisel, just try to bend it back a little bit. Just like that, that's good. Take a 36mm 12-point socket, take the nut off. All right, that's good. Then you want to grab a punch and just take a hammer. Try to loosen the axle from the hub. You're not going to be able to push it all the way in. You just want to loosen it up a little bit. Now we're going to take this sensor out. Use a 5mm hex socket. Just tap it in there a little bit. Take that screw out. And just take the sensor out. If it's stuck in there, just use some pliers and just wiggle it back and forth a little bit. And slide it out. Now we're going to take this bolt out. You want an 18mm wrench on the nut on the back side of that, and a 16mm socket on the bolt. Slide that out. And we're going to take this grommet off the brake line. There's a little clip right here. Just slide that clip out of the way. You want to remove that from the strut. Just push that grommet back. Just like that, just to have some slack on the brake hose. When you're pulling this apart, if you don't have enough slack here, you can always pull the caliper off and hang it from the coil spring. Now I'm going to take a large punch and I'm going to hammer the knuckle down to separate it from the strut. There we go. I'm just going to use some tie-down straps just to prevent too much tension on the brake hose. Just find a place to grab onto. You can always support this with some type of floor jack or jack stands. There we go. Now hammer the axle out the rest of the way. And just slide it out. Just tip it down, slide it past the caliper. Like that. I'm going to remove this shield. Start by these push pins in the back. Just use a trim tool. Take those off. Pull those out. Using an 8mm socket, take all these bolts out. probably 2 more right there. And slide it down. Remove these 2 screws, use an 8mm socket. And these 4 bolts, use a 16mm socket. And slide it down. And just take a punch and just grab the back side of the axle and just give it a tap. Starting to move. Can get in there with a pry bar and just pry it out, just like that. Might be a little bit of fluid come out. And then just slide it all the way up. And there it is. Now slide it back in same way it came out. Make sure the brake hose and the strut is out of the way. Once it gets lined up, you can try to tap it in. Just take a rubber mallet and just give it some taps. Oops. All right, that's all the way down. You can double check, just try pulling on it, see if it doesn't, make sure it doesn't slide out. That looks good. I'm just going to remove this bungee cord. And just slide this over, get the axle in position to go into the wheel bearing. There we go. I'll get this lined up. Then with it lowered down, you can use a floor jack. Just go under the ball joints and raise it up. And make sure it gets positioned on the strut properly. There's a couple pins on the back that need to line up with the slot in the knuckle. So you might have to twist it. Let me just tap that. That's good. You can see it's going down. And now it's bottomed out. That's good. Take the lower strut bolt, get that started, get the nut on. Tighten that down. Then you want to torque it. Torque that to 74 foot-pounds. Now we can lower the floor jack and put that aside. Now I'll put the spindle nut on. Snug that up. Then we're going to torque it. We're going to use some of the lug studs. Take the pry bar, just get in between the lug studs, just to prevent the wheel bearing from spinning. And we want to torque this to 310 foot-pounds. Now slide the rubber grommet into the bracket right here. If you took the brake caliper off, you want to put that back on. And take this bracket right here, slide that in place, retainer. And I'll slide the wheel speed sensor in place. And take the screw, get that started. And snug this down. That's good. Line this panel up. Get the screws started. And get the small screws started as well. And then you can tighten them all down. Get the screws started. Before you tighten those down, get the push pins in and push those down. That's it. Put the wheel on. Line that up. Get the lug stud started. Now I'm going to torque these lug nuts to 110 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Just go around again, double check. After you're done this job, keep in mind you need to bring the vehicle to a local garage to have it aligned so you don't have premature tire wear.